Hello, boys and girls. You'll notice I am not in class today. We have a sub today, but I am still going to teach. I'm just going to teach you through a video, and you will take some notes, and you'll write your individual sentences, but today we're not worrying about the group sentences. So you won't need your notebook at all. You're just going to take notes in your notes, and then write your individual sentences in Google Drive. But the first thing we should do is take a look at a few of these sentences. I'm going to read through all of them and kind of notice some things that are similar about all the sentences. Because Renoir painted many oils of clowns, people often recognize his work. After Thetis dipped Achilles in the river Styx, arrows could not pierce his skin. Number 3 says, since Arcane wove a perfect tapestry, the jealous Athena turned into a spider. And number 4 says, even though people referred to Brahms as one of the 3 great Bs, he felt inferior to Beethoven and Bach. And then we have, although the Beatles began singing in 1957, they did not gain popularity until Ringo Starr joined the band. Great. So let's take a look at some commonalities, some things that all these sentences have. Looks like they all have a comma right there, right there, right there, and right there. And I'm going to read through these and just show you a couple things real quick. So it looks like all of these have a subject. Renoir painted. What did he paint? He painted many oils of clowns. So it looks like we have a full sentence there. We also have another sentence. People, what do? They often recognize his work. So we have 2 noun, verb, noun sentences. They have a comma that separates them, and then we have this other word over here that kind of looks like it links them together. So because Renoir painted many oil clowns, people often recognize his work. So this people often recognize his work is linked with this other part of the sentence through this word because. Let's take a look at this next sentence. It says, after Thetis dipped Achilles in the river Styx, arrows could not pierce his skin. We have a subject, Thetis. What did Thetis do? Thetis dipped. Who or what did he dip? He dipped Achilles. And in the river Styx is a prepositional phrase. Then we have another part of the sentence, arrows. What did arrows do? They could not pierce. That is all a verb phrase, so they could not pierce. What could they not pierce? His skin. And so we have a noun verb sentence, and it looks like they are linked with a comma, and also this word over here after links it together. And it looks like all the sentences kind of do the same thing. Again, if you want to look through these and try to pick them all apart, that'd be great. And you can go ahead and pause the video and do so. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. Now, basically what I'm going to want you to do is to take a look at your notes, and you'll see that there is something that says sentence pattern 8 and 9 notes. The sub should have handed you these notes. What I'm going to want you to do is to look at these blanks and fill in the blanks with the words that are in red. We'll use these notes to write sentence pattern 8 and also sentence pattern 9. So hold on to these notes. So basically what we're going to be doing today is talking about the difference between a phrase and a clause. A clause is a group of words that have a subject, or a noun or a flashlight noun, and a verb or a vivid verb, and they must always agree. So here are some examples of clauses. This first one is the car drove. So we have the subject, what was the car? What did the car do? The car drove. We have another one over here, the teacher. What did the teacher do? The teacher taught. We have another sentence here, Jonathan. What did Jonathan do? Jonathan walked. So we have all these have a subject or a noun and a verb telling us what that thing did. Phrases, on the other hand, are either a noun, a verb, or a preposition with all of its modifiers, which are basically things that just kind of give you more information, or words that clearly define the noun, verb, or preposition. So some examples of these are the rowdy students. Students is a noun. Oops, I like to do yellow for the nouns. Students is the noun. What type of students? Rowdy, so that's a modifier, just modifying what students are. Walking hand in hand around the beautiful pond is a verb. So walking hand in hand around the beautiful pond. We know that hand in hand around the beautiful pond may be a lot of words, but it is not a full sentence. It doesn't have a subject and a verb. It only has the verb, and the modifiers are the things that kind of give more information. Underneath the weathered eaves of the barn doesn't have a noun or a verb. It is a preposition, so it's telling us where something is, and telling us the weathered eaves of the barn are telling you exactly where something is. Subordinator is what we talked about with those sentences before. Those things in green that we looked at, those areas, and I'll scoot back here for a second so you can see them. The parts in green, because, after, since, even though, and although, those are the words that link parts of your sentences together. So those are known as a subordinator. So a subordinator is a word that's used to join two clauses together. Some examples of those are before we ate dinner, we washed our hands. You can see we ate dinner as a full sentence. We washed our hands as another full sentence. And before acts as a subordinator that joins those two parts together. You'll see we also have our comma, which is right there. Boom. Next one over here, we have because the rain flooded the playground, the principal canceled the school picnic. Again, we have a comma here. We have our subordinator, which is the word because. The rain flooded the playground is a full sentence because it has the subject, the rain. What did the rain do? Flooded. What did it flood? The playground. Our second part here is a full sentence as well. The principal, what did the principal do? Canceled. What did they cancel? The school picnic. Some subordinators might also function as prepositions. So this is something that might trip you up as you go to write your sentences. As you're writing them, you should be able to cover the one part of your sentence up, and you should have two full sentences. Over here, you might be using a subordinator before, but dinner is not a full sentence. Before dinner is what's known as a preposition then. Before dinner, we washed our hands. Similar over here, because of the rain, the principal canceled the school picnic. So you can see that this is not a full sentence because of the rain. Here is a big list of some subordinators. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to pause it and let you pause the video and copy all these down. But you'll notice that they do some things. They function. They can tell you the time something happened, where something happened, the condition that something happened. They can compare and contrast things, or they can have a cause and effect. So this thing was the cause of this other thing. Again, if you want to copy these down, you can pause the video. I want to really quick talk to you about the different names for things. So my name is Mr. Stegman. And so a lot of people will call me Mr. Stegman. So the situation, in this classroom, you call me Mr. Stegman. When I'm at home, my daughters call me Dad. Sometimes people can't pronounce my name, so they call me Mr. S. Sometimes people just say Mr. Steg. When I worked in a place with really young kids, I worked in first grade, and when I worked with pre-K kids, they called me Mr. Eric because they struggled saying Mr. Steg, and so Mr. Eric. Come up. So you'll see that I have all these different names, and they all mean me. These things we're talking about today also have different names. So they are subordinate clauses, but they're also known as adverb clauses, and they're also known as dependent clauses. All these things mean the same thing, and we'll talk more about that later on. So I'm going to do probably just two examples of some sentences, kind of put them together and show you what they're going to look like, and then I'll let you guys get to work working on your own sentences. I have a couple different parts here, and I'm going to show you how you can put all these together to make them into a sentence that begins with an adverb clause, or a subordinate clause, or as we said before, as a dependent clause. So you see we have two full sentences here. She did not want anything to spoil her day. We have a subject, she. What did she do? She did not want. What did she not want? Anything. So we have that. We also have another sentence here. Ramona hoped her parents would forget the talking to. So we have Ramona. What did Ramona do? She hoped. So we have two full sentences. Great. So I have this word over here, which is subordinator. I'm going to go ahead and start my sentence with my subordinator. Then I'm going to plug in the second part of my sentence. She did not want anything to spoil her day. Then I'm going to put my comma, which is extremely important. Then I'm going to put my second part of the sentence. Ramona hoped her parents would forget the talking to. And then I'll finally put my period at the end. Because she did not want anything to spoil her day, comma, Ramona hoped her parents would forget the talking to. So you can see we have a cause and effect here. This is the cause, and this was the effect that happened. Let's take a look at our next one over here. Miss Quimby handed everyone a lunch bag. Looks like that's a full sentence. We have a comma here. We have a period here. We have before as a subordinator. And they, what did they do? They left home. Okay, so we have two full parts of sentences. I'm going to start with my subordinator. I'm going to take a look at this over here. They left home sounds like it is a part of a sentence. I'm going to put my comma in over here. And then I'm going to put my second part of the sentence, which is Miss Quimby handed everyone a lunch bag over here. Perfect. Great. So you can see that we have a full sentence, we have a subordinator, we have a comma, and then we have another full sentence, and then a period. Those are the basic elements of these sentences. Now, I'm not going to go through these other examples. I just want to get you guys some working time. So I've talked enough already. So again, you're going to be going into Google Classroom. You're going to be writing your sentences. Again, there are no group sentences today. When you're writing your sentences, make sure you're avoiding dead words. You can do this by using vivid verbs. Also, make sure you're avoiding personal pronouns, unless you're referring to the word that's in the previous sentence. So, for example, we have this one over here. They is a pronoun. It's referring to Mrs. Quimby. In that sense, it's okay to use a personal pronoun. Excuse me. So the way your sentences are going to look, you're going to have a subordinator, you're going to have an adverb clause, you'll have a comma, and then you'll have another clause, or flashlight noun plus a vivid verb and a period. Or if you have a noun-verb-noun sentence, you'll have a subordinator, adverb clause, which would be another full sentence, a comma, and then a flashlight noun, vivid verb, flashlight noun, you have a noun-verb-noun. And I want you to make sure you're opening Google Drive, creating a new document, and you're writing 5 individual sentences. They should look like the example sentences. The example sentences are in the instructions in Google Drive. Once you're finished writing those, please make sure you're hitting the submit button. Once you finish those sentences, continue working on your police report. If you're finished with your police report, make sure you hit the turn in button on that as well. And then you can begin working on your argumentative letter. Again, if you're struggling with certain parts of that, just try your best. We'll go over it when I get back from break. Thank you very much.